Make the ground shake!
G'day, Corbinate2000 here. I'm back with another Borderlands 3 character build, as we'll be going over my Tediore Amara build, or as I like to call it, the Lightning Yeet build. This build is just dumb how powerful it is. You can do everything with it, from mobbing, to bossing, to the circles of slaughters, to the fucking proving grounds, or on Mayhem 3 mind you, with even many negative modifiers. Like, you can have, it doesn't care, it's that powerful. This is arguably one of the most powerful builds I've found for Amara in the game. And I'm not just saying that for the clickbait, I do legitimately believe this is one of the most powerful builds. And it's quite easy to do, though getting the specific gear might be a bit of an issue. So yeah, let's just jump right into the video. Starting off any great build are the skills. The main skill trees I focused on was Fist of the Elements and Mystical Assault. I completely ignored Brawl because it only had one skill that might have been beneficial, but it required 10 points to get to and wasn't very useful to do. I found a bunch of other skills to be just more useful. So yeah, starting off in the Fist of the Elements skill tree, you want to max out Anima. Anima gives your status effects increased damage and duration, and your action skill status effect damage is also increased. This is just a nice extra skill because status effect damage is actually quite powerful in this game, especially with Amara. So it's always nice to have him do more damage and last twice as long. Next up, you want to max out Tempest. Tempest just simply increases your elemental damage, and shock damage is further increased. This is one of the most powerful skills for this build because you can get this, because as you can see, I've got a class mod that's boosting the skill by quite a lot, giving me a fuck ton of damage. And since I'm mostly focusing on shock damage, that damage is even further increased. So it's just a great skill for any Amara build. Like, you'd be dumb to not have this build. Moving on, I have Illuminated Fist. This gives you a melee damage the ability to do whatever your action skill element is. So in my case, it will be doing shock damage. I've only really got this because I needed a few points to actually get down the skill tree a bit further down the skill tree. And the idea of being able to have electric punches kind of work with the idea of this build being lightning focused. So, you know, I think that's why I grabbed it, because any of the other skills that I don't need just weren't as useful, were actually completely useless. So anyway, moving on to Wildfire. I want to max this out. This skill allows your status effects to have a chance to spread to nearby enemies. It's kind of cool. It can be very nice for just doing more damage to more people, though it's not a go-to skill. It's not a big thing. It's just there mostly to get down the skill tree again. Next up, we've got Deep Well. Deep Well increases your magazine size with elemental weapons. This is very important because Tediore weapons, when you reload them, they do more damage the more bullets are in your magazine. And if you've got a bigger magazine, that means more damage. And more damage equals things dying much quicker. So this is very good. Next up is Catharsis. Max this out and you'll have an ability to, basically make enemies explode if they die from elemental effects. This is kind of just more of a cool thing to have. It's not really that useful. It's just more useful than any of the other skills that I haven't touched. Next up is Sustainment. You'll want to max this out because when maxed out, you're getting 20% of your elemental damage is returned to you as health. This skill alone why we spent a couple of points just to go down this skill tree specifically, because this lifesteal makes you near unkillable. It's dumb because Tediore reloads, if they're elemental Tediore weapons, their reloads will give you that lifesteal, and because you'll be doing so much damage, it will be nuts. It's just nuts how much health you'll get back. Like, you could have pretty much no health, throw a Tediore weapon, and you'll get pretty much all your health back. It's great. Over here is Conflux. There's one point in this thanks to a class mod. Conflux basically allows your status effects that whenever you do a status effect, it has a chance to electrically ignite or melt an enemy. It's cool in concept, but it does fuck all damage, so it's just only really there because of the class mod. Nothing, don't spec into this at all. Lastly, on the Fist of the Elements skill tree is Forceful Expression. Your guns deal bonus elemental damage, and that damage is based off your action skill element. So if you set it to shock, you'll do extra shock damage. If you do fire, you'll have bonus fire damage, and so on and so forth. And this is an 18% bonus to elemental damage, which is very nice because more damage is great, especially elemental damage. Alright, so moving on to Mystical Assault, you want to max out Fast Hands. Fast Hands basically gives you reload speed, weapon swap speed, and mode switch speed. The mode switch speed is completely useless. The weapon swap speed is nice, but not really that big thing. But the main thing we're after is the reload speed, because the quicker you reload, the more Tediore chucks you can get out, and that basically increases your DPS with Tediore reload weapons. So it's just a very good skill in general. Next up, you want to put 4 points into the Violent Tapestry. Applying a status effect will give you a stack of rush, and activating your rush action skill will increase, or you will use all your rush stacks. Let's try to get this right. For every stack of rush consumed, your status effect chances increased, and and I'm getting an extra point into this thanks to my class mod. But you only want to put 4 points into this. This is mostly here just to go down the skill tree a bit further, and it's nice to have. I found that I didn't need do harm as much because I wasn't focusing on action skill damage, and I also didn't use electricity because while the reload speed's nice, I find that it's not unless you're using a rush stack Amara with like the Phase Zerker class mod, the effects aren't really that noticeable. So I found that putting the 4 points into Violent Tapestry was nice. Next up is you want to max out Restless. This just gives your action skill cooldown, increases your action skill cooldown rate, which is very good because this will help with a bunch of other skills and also some anointments on my gear to be able to trigger it because they require your action skill to be used. So this is just nice to be able to make it where you can use those skills that require action skill usage to be used more. Next up is Transcend. You gain increased accuracy and critical hit damage for a few seconds after activating your action skill. The accuracy is not the thing we're worried about, the critical hit damage is, because Tediore weapons in this game, when you reload them, they can actually hit critical hits, and this just further increases that damage. This is mostly you're only going to really focus on critical hits for big enemies with big critical hit spots, or big stationary enemies with big critical hit spots. But if you can hit a critical hit on a mob enemy, it just they're not going to survive. It's great. Next up is Ascendant. All action skill augments gain increased effects, and this is just nice because when I cover the action skill augment, it will have an increased effect. Next up is Laid Bare. Maxes out to get to be able to make enemies take increased damage from all sources after being damaged by Amara's action skill. This is good for boss fights again because you can easily hit them with your action skill and then just start flinging your Tediore weapons at them. It just makes them die. Lastly, you want to max out Wrath. Wrath increases your gun damage, and this effect is increased after you activate your action skill. More damage is always good. Alright, moving on to the action skill, you want to use Face Cast. Face Cast allows you to send actual protection of yourself out in front of enemies, damaging everything in front of you. I'm using this because it's quick to use, it has a pretty decent cooldown rate, and it actually has a lot of good anointments that go with it, so it's just a great skill for this build. And for your action skill augment, I recommend Soul Sap. This converts a portion of your action skill damage to return to you as you or your allies as health, which is pretty good. It's originally at 30%, but with Ascendant it will be at 50%, which is very handy. And that's basically the skills covered. Before I go over the gear, I'll just quickly show off my Guardian rank so you can see that I'm not completely cheesing it with having like a rank 20,000 on Guardian rank. So you can see that this is only the extra effects. Only a little bit of extra damage and shit like that, but that's just how it is. Alright, moving on to gear. Gear is a little less specific, but at the same time it's also quite specific, so it's kind of weird to explain. So for the weapons you want Tediore, mostly electric Tediore weapons that have the Merv and homing effects on them. So on Tediore weapons, if you go through their part, you can find a bit you'll want to look for something that has this effect on it. When thrown the weapon will spawn multiple child projectiles when it explodes, and you'll want to have it with this specific homing module. When you throw it, your weapon will home in on enemies. Now, when you actually throw the weapon with this combo, it won't actually home in directly, but the Merv child grenade things will actually home in on enemies. So when you throw it, the Tediore weapon will explode, dealing its damage, and then its Merv projectiles will fly out, and then it will home in onto nearby enemies. This allows for basically taking out everything around you, or can be used to just take out one specific target for bosses, which is very handy. Now, I recommend trying to get pistols or shotguns, as I find SMGs just don't have enough damage. Even though they have slightly bigger magazines, I just find that they lack the damage. So pistols and shotguns are what you're going to want to get. The variant things I have is this Tediore pistol, which comes with the anointment of after phase cast, weapon damage is increased by 250% for a short time. This anointment is the one you want to get on your Tediore weapons, because this, unlike a bunch of other anointments anointments that don't really affect Tediore reloads, this one does, and it makes this build go from being just pretty good to fucking outstanding. You can do so much damage with the setup I've currently got, and this is the main weapon I currently use. Though if you can get this effect on like a shotgun or something, I find it would probably be better on a shotgun, because you can actually there's a certain way where you can easily get ammo back for shotguns. Pistols and other weapons, it's a little more tedious. Anyway, I've also got a radiation Tediore shotgun that has the anointment of weapon damage increase after action skill end by 100%. This is kind of a weaker variant of the phase cast anointment I have, but it's still very nice. And plus it being radiation allows for me to have, you still get the bonus of elemental damage and shit like that. And I mostly got this as well because of a special thing its grip has. Basically, this grip, when you throw your Tediore weapon, instead of just having a big lobbing arc, it will actually fly towards enemies at a straight path, which makes hitting things at a distance way better. And I mostly have this for going up against bosses, the boss like Grave Ward, because when you try sling normal Tediores at Grave Ward, it's really, really hard to hit. So this is just very nice. Plus, it's always good to carry an extra different element, because if you go up against an enemy that is immune to shock damage, that basically means you cannot damage anything with these weapons. So, always good to carry a spare weapon just in case. I've also got a Tediore shotgun, which comes with bonus radiation damage for a short time, but this doesn't apply to Tediore reloads, unfortunately. I've mostly got this because in conjunction with the Transformer, a shield that converts shock damage into shield, you can throw this at your feet to get your shields back up really quickly. And the Transformer I've got also regenerates a bit of my health after action skill end. The Transformer does have a chance to absorb bullets into your ammo cap, which can be annoying when trying to do Tediore reloads, because you could shoot your bullet, someone could shoot you, and before you're able to reload, the bullets back into your magazine mean you can't reload. Can be a bit of an annoyance, but I find the slight inconvenience is worth it for the fact that you can basically be immune to shock damage and it can heal you. Last up, for the guns, I've got the Face Puncher. This is mostly here to be able to for specifically regenerating shotgun ammo, because if you combine it with a cut purse artifact, which a cut purse artifact allows you to basically steal ammo from enemies by hitting them with a melee attack. Since the Face Puncher actually counts as dealing a melee attack, you can get ammo back from a distance with shotguns. And since each fucking pellet counts as one punch, you can get up to basically all your ammo back for a shotgun in 1 or 2 shots, which is very good, which is why you want shotgun specifically. As for the class mod, I recommend getting the Nimbus. Its special effect isn't that big of a deal, as it creates just a cloud of a damaging elemental cloud around your first enemy your action skill tags, and it can be quite nice because if you've got it set to shock and you walk into it with a transformer, you actually will start regenerating your shields because the cloud actually can damage you. The reason you want this class mod though is because it gives you a boost to Tempest, and if you can get a variant that boosts Tempest as much as possible, which I believe it can go up to 4 or 5, that's why you want this. Plus, the variant I've got also increases grenade damage, and Tediore weapons, unlike a bunch of other weapons, are actually boosted by a lot of things. It's boosted by its damage, reloads increases by gun damage, splash damage, grenade damage, as well as magazine size. So yeah, with the extra grenade damage, this also just gives my build way more damage. My cut purse artifact is, you can just really get any cut purse artifact. The main things you want to look for though is boosts to your magazine size, shock damage, grenade damage, splash damage, just damage in general, stuff like that. You want those extra little effects as well. I happen to get a safeguard with a cut purse artifact, and the safeguard allows you to basically create a shield that makes you more resistant to damage after slamming for a few seconds. Not really the best, but like, it's a cut purse artifact, I'm only using it for that. As for grenade, just have whatever you want. It's not really a part of the build. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole build covered. So basically, for this build, you're just going to want to, basically activate your action skill and then just start throwing quickly. And you'll just watch things die really quickly. If you're going up against something like Grave Ward or someone that's immune to fucking shock damage, switch over to something to your non-shock Tediore weapon. Someone like Grave Ward, use this so you can just start getting long range throws in, and you'll be able to do a lot more damage. And yeah, if you're running out of shotgun ammo, switch over to your face puncher, shoot him a couple times, and then boom, you got shotgun ammo back. If you're using a pistol or something that isn't a shotgun, switch over, just walk up and punch him a couple of times to get some of your ammo back. Really simple, because if your shields are down, switch over to the shotgun and throw it at your feet, because a word of warning is if you utilize your action skill and then shoot and throw it at your feet, you can actually hurt yourself because of how much damage you're doing. As you can see, I did damage to myself somehow, even though it was complete shock damage. So I do recommend switching over to something that doesn't have the face cast anointment on it to get your shields back. Plus, if your shields are full, you can also use it as a quick way to get a good chunk of your health back, which is always nice. So yeah, that's basically going to wrap up this video. If you enjoyed it, remember to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more, hit the notification bell to keep updated with all my uploads, and comment down below if you've tried this build out and what your thoughts are on it. And if you have any build ideas for build videos you'd like me to try out, whether that be using a certain character, focusing on maybe a certain skill, maybe a specific set of gear, comment those ideas down below and I might give them a try out. I might try to do something with them. So anyway, I'm just going to leave this off with a bit of a montage of me killing a bunch of things with this build. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Enjoy the montage.